We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 453. I'm your man behind the microphone and your current reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling World Champion. I am Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week for a Royal Rumble edition of the show. First of all, we've got the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, are you ready for the Royal Rumble?
Oh, I'm always ready for the Royal Rumble. This is my favorite match, favorite event of all wrestling. I am super pumped. And I will say, in light of recent events and possible fake leaks, possible real leaks, I don't care. I'm gonna stick to my guns that what I've been saying since last year. And for some people, you know what that is.
And we'll get all to that shortly. But first of all, last but not least on this show, we've got another Undisputed Scholar in his own right. He is the ever dangerous Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how are you feeling about the Royal Rumble?
It's my favorite show of the year, sprinkled in with a whole bunch of what the fuck is going on this week.
Very good question, and we have pretty much no choice but to deal with that reality too. But yes, it is Royal Rumble season, and we're going to get to our prop predictions proper very, very soon. But as Scholar Brian alluded to, there is a lot of, frankly, once in a lifetime and very bizarre news. So we got to tackle it all in a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Indeed, we shall go ahead and peek behind that curtain and wait for that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. News.
Ew.
What the fuck, man?
Okay, in your answer, instead of going for a meh, with Jeff's introduction of you being dangerous, I should just go respond, let's get dangerous. Darkwing Duck, when
Google
is
it, kids.
W called DW? Darkwing Duck. Immediately popped in my head as soon as Jeff did his introduction of
As well, you
Brian being,
should.
dangerous.
Those are some fine Saturday mornings. But
Oh, yes.
speaking
We're
of
talking about
some
Saturday
fine
evening.
days, yes, we're talking about Saturday evenings, but we also got to lead up to the week that was, kicking things off with, at least chronologically this week. The first thing I believe we saw was the announcement that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, was now on the TKO board of directors. And as a part of his deal, now has full rights to the name The Rock, which I wasn't aware that that was a thing, but hey,
Oh, no, it
The
was.
Rock is on the board.
It's
The
it's
Rock
one of
is
those
at
things.
the table.
Yeah,
He is the table.
he is the table, and really, if you think about it, he's the head of the table. But I digress. It's good that he has the full name rights to the character that he made famous and made the WWE and himself a whole bunch of money. So it's good that he has the full rights to that name back because it's still weird calling him Dwayne Johnson. Okay, it, I was calling him The Rock for so long that it's still weird when you look at his name in the movie credits and it's Dwayne Johnson. It's like I can't do it, but it's him being on the board of directors. It kind of makes sense to me. It wasn't something where he his name came up and like he's on the board of directors now and I'm sitting there like why? No, it's like you know, dude's a businessman, has a whole bunch of B-League football properties. Okay, knows how to make money. Okay, it seems to make a lot of sense to be on that team.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've heard the accusation that this kind of a position is almost like a celebrity position where I say, "Oh yeah, this person is on the board of this company." But even if that is the case, this is still a very, very good and appropriate get for TKO, especially in light of what we're going to talk about shortly. But for now, I remember just the jubilation that, okay, The Rock is on the board of TKO. The company is in good hands.
The best way to really like go at this is now that he like people won't go over the impression. Now, okay, he's The Rock's Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not on WWE TV, but he's still a part of the company. He's not one of those like celebrities that be like, I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay. WWE's my home. And then he just disappears again and goes back to Hollywood. At least now, as being part of the board of directors for TKO, he's still up to date with what's going on in that business. He's up to date with what's going on with WWE. And hilariously, I felt like one of the big reasons was just to get the Rock name, just so he can sell merchandise himself. And I always felt like that was just a good way to hit another one to Vince McMahon because I've always felt that the reason The Rock really stays there, comes back much more frequently, is that he wants to get that Rock name from WWE, and now was just the perfect opportunity because Vince was no longer holding that name hostage and finding a way to bring him on WWE television and basically hijack the TV product. Now, in this case, he doesn't need to hijack the TV product. He's got his name that as actually I don't remember which one of you said it. I think it was Brian who said it, made that name famous. The name that pretty much got him into the position where he is now. Uh, and yeah, I think this is being pretty much the quote unquote face of the board. I actually think that would just be wonders for him. And he's just so charismatic as himself. It'll just work perfectly. And then him working with Nick Khan and Triple H with whatever down the line. I'm all for this. I was very happy to see this news. And the best way I like that put the biggest smile on my face as a wrestling fan was just the picture of The Rock and Triple H in their early careers. It's like where it begins and then seeing them where they are now. And I just like that's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
like now they have someone to when they're holding press conferences and they're talking at Wall Street and that kind of deal. They have their mouthpiece now. They have their charismatic mouthpiece who can get investors and everything behind them because he knows how to talk. You give him talking points and he'll get everybody behind what you're selling. So it's like this makes sense all around.
Yeah, not to mention from a fan standpoint, it's just a really cool feeling that someone who is about as credible as you can get in the professional wrestling business is now in such a high point of influence that really you can feel good about. I think of especially in the face of what will come to light, what's just come to light recently, the fact that we've got someone who, for every fan of professional wrestling, now we've got you don't get much bigger than The Rock. I would put maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin or maybe Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan has not really made the best business decisions. And frankly, I don't think Stone Cold really cares. He just wants to go
Yeah,
hunting and make good beer on his ranch.
yeah, you do not want Hulk Hogan to be your mouthpiece right now with what's going on. He's probably right under Vince McMahon, in who fan bases do not want to see you in public. So it's like I don't understand why they had him on Raw based
Because they're
off
going to
of
celebrate the 40th anniversary of Hulkamania.
yeah,
Also,
That's their whole thing.
but that's an issue because he's basically persona non grata Vince McMahon was now for all his shit 5 years ago.
oh,
So
we'll
it's
certainly
like
get to that one.
yeah, so it's like you do not. I wouldn't even put Hulk Hogan in that spectrum anymore because because of how I don't know the word, but it's like nobody wants to see that dude. Nobody wants to hear from that dude. They put him
Like
on TV, and they put him on TV, and like 3/4 of the crowd clicks off.
it's like I just want to see him just because I still want him to sign my Mr. Nanny DVD.
Yeah, there's
He's still Sean Armstrong to me. He's not Shep Ramsey from Suburban Commando. He's not whatever that character he played in the Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain. He's Sean Armstrong to me.
does anyone just a bit of trivia? Does anybody actually know the name of Hulk Hogan's character in Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain?
I don't remember.
Nope.
Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, what is it?
His name was Dave Dragon.
I knew it had dragon in it. I knew it had I knew it was like the dragon, but yeah. Oh God, and that
and
terrible
and
hairpiece.
and
Yeah.
that's how you
Jim
know it's a
Varney
bad '90s movie.
and Jim Varney was the like right hand man to the main villain who was the mom in Night at the Roxbury. What do you think of my new chin?
That was such a weird cast, come to think of it. I feel
That
like
movie
I'm
was
the
that movie is terrible. It's the worst Three Ninjas. I've seen all the Three Ninjas movies, and that movie was terrible.
I didn't were there any more after High Noon at Mega Mountain?
Nope. And
Yeah, so I
that
think
movie
I
is the
did see
reason
them
why.
all. Yeah, that was ooh, that was a rough one. But
Dave
I don't know
Dragon.
why I remember it, but I do. And really, I
Because
think
I
we're digressing at this point.
somehow we just started talking about Hulk Hogan.
Well, speaking of movies, here's a segue for you. Not, I think the same day, not even like a couple of hours after
Oh
we
yeah.
got the announcement from The Rock joining the board of TKO, we got the announcement that Monday Night Raw is coming exclusively to Netflix in 2025. Starting January in 2025, minimum of 5 years, it's going to be a Netflix exclusive show. What I
I
got to
want to
pitch it over to
see.
you guys. What was your initial reaction to this?
My initial reaction is I hope that the live streaming on Netflix goes a lot better because they've had a couple live streaming stuff and it did not work very well. So it's like I hope that they're able to shore that up within a year and a half because I think that it's late 2025 that it's gonna go over.
Nope, it
Nope.
starts in January.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah, the
Okay.
first Monday
Well,
in
either way,
January is going to be the Raw.
well, okay. Then they've got a year to iron that stuff out because very ambitious uh, going to live streaming without knowing if it fully works correctly yet. But I mean, it's a very ambitious plan. I, well, if they offer you $5 billion, I, I, you have to take that. You have to. $5 billion. Come on, man. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see how it works. Live shows on Netflix and I'm interested how they're going to work it with no commercials.
I think I've heard some early speculation about this, but I'm under the impression, just due to how it's being distributed throughout the world, I think there's still going to be I think there's still going to be advertise the ad breaks. There's still going to be commercial breaks, because not only are we talking about different territories, but also keep in mind that the easiest to access baseline of Netflix is still one with ads. So there's still going to be ad breaks. There's still going to be that kind of thing. Plus, in terms of organization of the show, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't just do that. Plus, if you think about it, WWE already has that kind of thing baked into its premium live events. I just have like the most introductory level thing on Peacock right now. And yeah, there are still some ad breaks on occasion. And for the people who don't have it, there's like exclusive little videos in between. So it's not something that's outside of the realm of possibility. There's already the precedent for
Yeah,
Well,
it's
in the case of Peacock, it's if you have the most basic uh payment plan, you get regular commercials between like each match at a premium live event. But if you have the premium package, you actually don't have commercials, and you have the video packages that WWE makes for the upcoming matches.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
So
so they're probably going to
there's
do something
always a
similar.
precedent for that.
It's
And in
probably going to be
WWE,
something
yeah.
similar
yeah,
when it comes to commercials and Netflix, at least when it comes to the case of Raw. I don't know if they're going to be doing that same thing when it comes to the international level that's getting all WWE things from Raw, SmackDown, NXT premium live events and whatever content that they're going to get. I mean, only here in the States is Netflix getting Raw. Maybe in that case they're probably gonna do a little test and see, maybe inevitably when the contracts for uh uh
SmackDown and NXT.
SmackDown and NXT, and even the deal that they have with Peacock will ex when that expires, they'll just move everything to Netflix.
Yeah, the real crux of how this is going to work is Netflix isn't really alive. They haven't really done live streaming. It, it it's a streaming service. They just haven't really done anything live
Apparently, they're
yet.
also doing the SAG Awards, which is going to be
So
streamed live.
it
So it looks like they're
so
just
it's
having a
one
whole
of those
series
like,
of.
yeah. So it's like that they're doing all this stuff. Netflix itself is figuring out live streaming. So it's like it's interesting that WWE took a deal with a company that isn't like, they haven't perfected the live streaming yet. They haven't perfected it. So it's like I admire the risk that they're taking.
Oh, it's a big risk, and I admire it too. I was actually like thinking this is going to be very interesting. The only one of us that was actually responded negatively about this was Charlie, and I actually would have loved to have hear his reason why, as he put it, horrible. I would love to like gotten his reasons why, which is most likely we're gonna at least we'll get it when I see him when we watch Royal Rumble this weekend. But I would love to have seen him explain that on the show. But yeah, I honestly, at minus the potential risk of like series of crashes, considering how many people are going to want to watch Raw on Mondays or whatever day they decide to put it on, which most likely is going to stay on Raw. or stay on Monday, excuse me. Uh, I'm very intrigued on what to see what they're going to do. And this really is a historic event when it comes to this is like introduction of the WWE network type of like historic event of potential streaming st television to streaming uh what's the word? Transition?
Transition. Yeah,
Transitions
yeah, transition.
from
Okay.
like cable television to full-on streaming service. It's just one step closer to like basically the death of cable television.
Yeah, the one major thing I can think of that might be an issue. Again, I haven't spoken to Charlie to get his expanded thoughts on this. It's purely speculation on my part. But one reason why I personally was a little hesitant, and I'll make this a scholar's quick talk. I was not looking forward to paying for another streaming service again. I have not been subscribed to Netflix for a little over a year at this point. But me personally, between Monday Night Raw and with the final season of Stranger Things being right around the corner, yeah, I'm probably going to be end up uh subscribing again anyway. My Scholar's Quick Talk question is, are you subscribed to Netflix at the moment? And when Monday Night Raw comes around, will you?
Yes, I'm already subscribed.
I am already subscribed, but there there's a precedent in Netflix right now where they do not keep shows for the entire contract. So I guarantee you that even though it's a 10-year deal, they're they're most likely dropping it at the minimum time. So they're probably going to get the 5 years out of it because that's just how Netflix works.
And they do
Okay,
have that clause in the contract that if
yeah,
it's not working, they could drop the deal.
e- exactly. And it's like they've had many shows that are good shows, and a lot of people watch the shows, and they do not go any longer than 3 seasons. So it's one of those like Stranger Things is like the anomaly. All right. So do not expect this contract to go to full term. Do not that 10 years,
And
$5
Dragon
billion
Prince.
dollars thing. Okay, it is probably like 80% likely that it's not going 10 years. You're probably getting the 5 years, and then they'll use that clause in the contract to jump out of it, no matter whether it's doing good or not. But because that's just the way Netflix works. But the fact that they're even doing it in the first place, the fact that we have a wrestling show that is going to be live stream only, it's ambitious, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm optimistic that it'll work, but it they have to they there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong here. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see how it all plans out. But speaking of things going wrong, just when we thought all the once in a lifetime news was going to be done and broken for the week, we have just discovered and the records of the lawsuit filing of yet another sexual harassment lawsuit for Vince McMahon, and it goes way, way, way worse than anything that most of us had even expected. Human trafficking, horrible, scary, disgusting things with people you don't want to imagine having sex, coercion, payoffs. Where do I help me out here? Where do I
I
even
I
begin
put
with
it
this
I
nonsense?
I I put it this way when speaking to Jeff. before we got on air. At noon this afternoon, I did not expect to be on my phone reading horror porn in court documents. That is not what I expected. That is certainly not what I wanted. And we knew that Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis were very sick in the head, had very nasty ideas of what to do with their women coworkers or their women underlings, if you will. The surprise in these documents to me are the names that, but you could infer that were also involved. Okay, they said UFC and WWE champion. We know who that is. Okay, so we know that Brock Lesnar is involved. Okay, we know that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were on a committee to try to get to the bottom of this. They did not interview victims. So there is a potential of cover up here. Okay, it makes a lot of people look bad, look really bad. And to tell you the truth, it for a good couple hour time span, it kind of put a damper in Royal Rumble weekend for me, just reading this shit. Because in all the other documents, okay, you did not get explicit details of what was going on. You got the basic idea. Okay. You did not understand basically how depraved and how nasty everything was going on in the backstage area. Now we have details that I did not want. And the only question now is, have we finally had enough? It's like, is this good enough to get him out now? Can we finally just rid the world of the Vince McMahon era?
My guess is I think we probably have. And I think TKO, as it currently stands, is leaning towards that direction too. Because given the tone of what they're taught of their response as soon as these allegations came out, they did not seem like the typical PR speak that we normally get when these kinds of things happen. There's wasn't as much neutrality as I think a lot of people were expecting, which is leading some, I've noticed, to speculate that, you know what, this may have just, it's not a matter of if, but when. And they're probably just going through every legal avenue that they've got in order to get rid of him the right way and completely.
I mean, this is just information released from a guy who books himself with female wrestlers to a point where it puts them in uncomfortable positions. I mean, the first thing that pops in my head when it comes to that, he's booked himself when Tori Wilson first showed up on WWE television. The first episode, they have her. He goes into the bathroom with her, and he starts making out, and he starts just going at it with her. Granted, that segment ends with Linda McMahon finding him and doing that whole embarrassing thing, but he's still booking himself in a position where he's basically going at it with these women. I mean, like what he did with Trish Stratus, uh, having her bark like a dog, in her underwear in the middle of the ring. This is just an individual that is from a time where he's at the top of this, and he can get away with whatever he wants, especially when at the time it was still a private company. But it's now at the point where WWE hasn't been a private company in years. Long. I think it's even like almost 20 years, maybe even longer. When it comes to the potential cover up, it it came to me as if just a daughter and son-in-law just trying to basically save the image of her father and slash father-in-law respectively, and basically getting him out of the company at the end of 2022 was just their desperate attempt just to save face for him. And when he decided to not not to stay retired and weasel his way back into the company and try and get him into a position of power with this Endeavor deal. Yeah, just more showing of just how much of a disgusting human being that Vince McMahon really is, and what he did to these women, putting them in these positions where they're just being used as playthings for him, for John Laurinaitis, and possibly Brock Lesnar, which people might be shocked about it, but I'm just also thinking, I'm like, Brock had a very close relationship with Vince McMahon. The man fucking walked out when Vince was originally forced into retirement. So it makes sense. Like it's or not that it makes sense. It's not that surprising that he could have been involved with this disgusting these disgusting ordeals behind the curtains as well. And now that his Rumble plans have been pulled, the best now it's the point where it may be best if Brock stays gone, and him quote quote passing the torch to Cody Rhodes might be the best possible send off that you can have for him. Because if he ever tries to come back after, it's not going to be a very positive reception. I mean, there's obviously going to be some of those people who are just going to back him no matter what, like how there's some people backing Vince no matter what. And just say, oh, it's innocent till proven guilty. But shit, man, these messages, these texts that were released, this evidence does not look good for him.
Yeah, I'm like
And it's
innocent
just
and
inevitable. It is inevitable that TKO will basically buy his shares and get him out of there as soon as possible.
yeah, it's like innocent until proven guilty is all well and good, but when extra shit is coming out like every 10 minutes, like a new text, and you're reading it and it's like, oh shit. And then a new text comes out and it's like, oh shit, that's even worse. And then another text and it's like, what the fuck am I reading?
Like
And then,
now there are these people that will just as they'll call them Vince McMahon stands that will just like obviously stay behind him. It's like, oh, he's the man who took his father's company and made it into a
oh yeah,
worldwide phenomenon. And I'm like, well, my response is yes, he
that
did do
doesn't
that.
stop you from being a shithead.
In my personal opinion, it's now at that point where he ruined that.
His legacy is in tatters now, and as you said with the Brock Lesnar thing, walking out and all that, it's like reading through all this stuff. You're like, yeah, a lot of that stuff that we were asking why. Why does it, why did he do this? Why is all this going on in the backstage area? What is going on? And then you read through this, and a whole bunch of that stuff makes sense now. Why did he walk
Especially
out?
since it's around those time
Why did
periods, maybe a little beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, why did Stephanie McMahon leave the company twice? Why did she come back when he was gone? It's like, okay, everything's you're starting to piece together everything bit by bit as you're reading through this stuff. And it all comes back to one very specific thing. Yes, Vince McMahon did build this company into what it is from when he took it over from his dad. That does not mean that you are exempt from shitty things that you do. Okay,
Especially
you
to the
can do
extreme of how shitty this
it's
is. Yeah.
it's like Voldemort it's like Voldemort in Harry Potter. He did great things. Horrible, but great. that kind of thing. That kind of thing. It it's like two things can be true.
Yeah, there's so much disappointment and so much we could say about this. That's that I know you alluded to it earlier, where when we're talking about Brock Lesnar and looking back at just some of the timing of some of these things, where looking back we see things we've seen on TV. We've heard about Brock Lesnar flipping out as soon as we found out that Vince was ejected. We've even heard some awful stories about what happened to Ashley Mazzaro in the past. Now it's like after hard evidence is coming out and lawsuits are being filed and all this is coming to light, it's takes some already bad things and just it's putting the pieces together to paint a picture that no one wants to see. It's this is woof.
Does
And
and
hopefully and hopefully this closes the book. This ends the book of Vince McMahon because look, it's too much. The
there's only
WWE is in a very good place right now. And cut the fat, dude.
which I actually have a scholar's quick talk for you guys. Once once this whole thing gets taken care of, and most likely Vince McMahon gets taken out of this picture, because the man was already on thin ice anyway. They were pretty much uh keeping an eye on him just in case something else comes out, which now we have. And Brian, you said it very you honestly you kind of put it in like it's doing very good. I'm like, it's doing excellent. WWE is like as the term says, WWE is on fire, and they're just continuing throwing the wood and gas to this flame, getting it hotter and hotter. Like my good, especially with like the Rock deal. Uh, and this story just blows the Kevin Patrick story out of the water. We were thinking that was the only real sad news to come out of today. Oh no, we get this, and it's a bombshell. But my scholar's quick talk for you. Once Vince McMahon is out of the picture, do you think they're going to pull the Chris Benoit treatment for him, where they just completely not acknowledge him at all?
I don't see. I think that those two are completely different scenarios. Like Chris Benoit is a TV character. It's like you can erase him. You don't have to talk about him. He just fades away into the history of the company. You don't need to hear from him anymore. Vince McMahon, no matter how you feel about the guy, okay, WWE isn't in the spot it is today without him at the helm. So it's like I don't I don't think it's possible to completely erase him from the history of the WWE. You can't do it. But you can you, you
Not
can
acknowledge him.
mention him. You don't have to mention him on TV anymore. You don't. But it's like to say that he to erase him from the company. You can't do it. There's no way. Just going through the history of the company, the WWE isn't the WWE without Vince McMahon. So you like literally cannot erase him. You don't have to acknowledge him, you don't have to say anything, but you can't do it.
Yeah, I believe it's more likely that they just won't use him anymore. They'll just be staying the same course that they always have, or they have been over the past like year and a half. Where, yeah, Vince McMahon is a person that exists out there in the planet, but you don't need to bring him on TV. You don't bring him out to corporate events. You certainly aren't going to parade him around on the stock exchange. There's nothing. Just go through the proper channels, vote him out, kick him out, give him a nice severance package. See you later. Bye. And we just wait until the Netflix documentary on Vince McMahon comes out. We all watch all the dirty details and then just close chapter on this ugly, ugly chapter in wrestling history.
Well,
That's it.
let's not fool ourselves. There's not going to be any dirty details in that documentary. That's going to be a fluff piece, okay? Because that was done before all this shit came out.
If they even release it now because of
Yeah,
this.
I don't even know what they're going to do, but hey, Netflix has the rights. Netflix is very much in the mix now. We didn't know we were going to get half this stuff this week, so who knows what tomorrow will bring. That's all I'm saying.
You want to talk about the
Let's
Royal
move
Rumble?
to happier
I
things
was
now,
gonna
shall
say,
we?
we
Can we
got
just
all that out of the way. Let's get to the good stuff this weekend. We're talking Royal Rumble weekend. There's a lot to look forward to despite all that nonsense. So let's just dive right in. Let's get the predictions out of the way. There's not many of them, but oh baby, do they count. So I will exercise my champ's privilege. Ching, sparkle, sparkle. The belt is looking nice. So I will go first on this first match. We've got Logan Paul defending his U.S. championship against Kevin Owens. This one seems pretty obvious to me. I'm going to go with Logan Paul on this one. I think what we're going to see in the months ahead is going to determine what Logan Paul's match is at WrestleMania. But for now, there's probably going to be some shenanigans. Kevin Owens is going to get screwed over, and we're going to get a Logan Paul title defense. Tarek, you're next in line. Who do you got for this one?
I'm also going to go with Logan Paul because they're saving it for Logan Paul and LA Knight for WrestleMania.
There you go.
That's still my go for it.
I'm thinking much the same, but hey, a lot can happen in the next couple months. But Brian, which way do you think?
Yeah, we're pretty much in agreement here. Logan Paul is going to be United States champion heading into Mania. He he won the title. He hasn't defended it yet. So it's one of those you got to get a title defense for the celebrity before you have him lose it to whoever he's going to lose it to at WrestleMania. So yeah, there's going to be dirty dealings. There's going to be shenanigans. Kevin Owens ain't losing clean, but Kevin Owens is losing Logan Paul for the win.
All right, there we go. We got consensus for our first match. Now we're moving on to our second match, which is really bizarre to say about this particular one. We've got a fatal four-way match for the WWE World Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. The title Roman Reigns has. He's defending against Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. Tarek, your pick up first. Who you picking?
Roman, I'm I've nothing more else to say other than I'm just done with this title reign, but he's not losing it here. Uh, especially when the road to WrestleMania begins. But yeah, I've been done with this reign. This reign doesn't mean anything to me anymore. His that fire that he's had these past couple years has just gone cold, and it honestly should have ended at last year's WrestleMania, but they are keeping it going, and it is now one of the least interesting things going on right now. But Roman for retention.
All right, Brian, it's your pick up next. Who you got for the Fatal Four Way?
It's one of those things where the more interesting aspect of this match is who's going to take the pin, because we all know who's doing the pinning. Roman Reigns is retaining, and I hate to say it, Jeff, but based off of all the stories coming into this match, I feel like LA Knight's the odd man out. I feel like you can't have Randy Orton take the pin for obvious reasons. AJ Styles just came back. It's and it's just like LA Knight's kind of the odd man out here. Like I wasn't even certain why he was in the match to begin with, other than the fact that AJ Styles attacked him. So it was so Roman Reigns is winning. Unfortunately, I think LA Knight's taking the pin, and we move on to the next.
I'll tell you what, I half agree with you. Of course, this is a fairly obvious pick. I think we all agree Roman is going to win this one. But I think I'm going to take it a step further. I think that he's going to do a Edge and Daniel Bryan thing where he just someone will interfere and he just stacks them and pins them all at once. Completely buries them all until he runs into whoever he runs into, the Royal Rumble winner, The Rock, whoever. Let's go pure cheese ball. If we're gonna go there, let's freaking go there.
If they put this match on, if they're making this fatal four way because they don't want to have Randy Orton pinned by him just coming back, they're not. I don't think they're going to do that. I could see like that's a potential that I even thought about that of just them doing a him pinning everyone, but with the whole purpose of this match is not pinning Randy Orton. I don't see them pinning everybody, and I'll be that one guy. And uh, I actually think AJ Styles is the one who's going to take the pin because like I just the way I looked at it is Orton he's the biggest he's really the biggest name going into this uh at least when it comes to veteran wise, and LA Knight's still one of the most popular superstars. You don't want to extinguish that flame, and I feel that out of all of them AJ Styles could be the one to just take the pin and not have it hurt him whatsoever. So that was my frame of mind, and I actually think that was a thing for the Rumble game.
Who
One of the
takes the pin?
options
It
who
was.
takes the pin, and yeah, I picked AJ Styles for that one. So I see where you're coming from with LA Knight getting pinned, Brian, but I just feel like if you want to keep this popularity at a nice good flame, him taking the pin actually may do some more damage than you're thinking.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how that whole thing goes. But now we're getting into the good stuff right now. We're getting into the Royal Rumble matches, starting first with the Women's Royal Rumble match. Brian, it's your pick up first. Who do you think is going to win the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match?
I told Tarek who I thought I was going to pick on the phone earlier this week, but then I thought about it, and there's a different way to get to where I want both women's matches at WrestleMania to go. So here's my thought. Okay, you still have this thing going with Bianca and Damage Control. So Bailey is in the process of trying to get Bianca out. and Damage Control runs over to try to help Bailey, in the process eliminating both of them. Therefore, you can start the idea of the split, and you can start the idea of Bailey versus Io Sky in a different way. Okay. And you get and in order to you get your money match, which is Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. Okay. I have you finish off the story between Becky Lynch and Nia Jax here. Final two, Becky Lynch, Nia Jax. Becky Lynch finally overcomes Nia Jax and gets her out, wins the Royal Rumble, and you start the build to Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. Therefore, in both title matches for WrestleMania, you start the build here, and you start the build for your biggest one by having Becky Lynch win the Royal Rumble by overcoming her, I guess, the way they're building it up, hardest opponent yet.
Okay.
The way they've been building it up, yes. We know it's not. But the way they've been building it up since day one.
I definitely see what you mean. It's
But
certainly
but the
very
answer is
interesting build.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah. The way you outlined it, I can definitely see that happening. However, just because of all the different ways that this can go and all the different ways we can set up WrestleMania time, I'm going to be inclined just for the sake of consistency. I'm going to go with my original prediction for the Women's Royal Rumble, and I'm going to pick Bailey to win. There's it just seems like there's a lot of times in wrestling where you just got to go the more obvious route, and we're going to get to that. Or sometimes the most obvious route is probably the best one. This one is not quite as obvious as some other picks, but it's still, I think, convincing enough for me that this is a decent shot that this could come to pass. So I'm going for Bailey. Tarek, it's your pick up next. Who you got for the women's?
It's actually really funny because you guys picked my top two potential people to win it. And as like Brian said, we talked earlier this week, and I was fully set on Bailey winning. And a part of me is just thinking, how is she going to choose Io Sky? Because that's obviously what they're building towards for WrestleMania. Do we like if she wins and she's like, is she going to outsmart them and think, oh, I was gonna go to Rhea Ripley, but I know how you guys been treating me, so I'm gonna pull the Batista and just put a thumbs down. But I just don't see that with Bailey's character. And in all honesty, the scenario that I see is them turning on her because she lost. And even to a point where maybe even uh Damage Control is out there supporting her. And when it comes to her elimination, instead of them trying to save her from being eliminated, they just don't care. Similar to what they did with the Bianca match, where instead of them helping her try beat Bianca, they just did nothing. I could see them doing something similar to that, and eventually, like on the next SmackDown, them finally turning on her and kicking her out, which will eventually lead to uh the title, or like her to come back as a baby face and get her revenge. I'm gonna choose Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble, mainly just from how the closing segment on Raw ended. Because it seems like Bailey may be the biggest story Bailey's story may be the biggest thing going into the Rumble, but when it comes to the Rumble winner versus the champion, I see Becky being the one to be the first time that she wins multiple women's Royal Rumble to face the biggest the women's world champion in Rhea Ripley.
All right. Very good all around. But now we're getting to our final match of the night, the men's Royal Rumble, and my last pickup for the night. For this one, I'm thinking it can go one of two ways. The big question is in most people's minds, and even in the WWE mind, it's going to be down to two names: Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. One of these guys is they've got to be the most likely picks for this thing. Although there's a number of ways that this can go that are totally valid and very exciting. Once again, this entire night screams obvious picks all around. I'm going to go tonight for CM Punk. I'm thinking that they're going to take the obvious route to take CM Punk's route through the Royal Rumble, and that will eventually lead up to Cody punching his ticket to WrestleMania through the Elimination Chamber to ultimately face Roman Reigns. I said it, it's academic. Tarek, it's your turn. Which way you going?
I said it at the end of WrestleMania last year, and I'm sticking to my guns. I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. I just I just can't see uh I just can't see CM Punk winning it and not having it be the final match for WrestleMania weekend. I can't see the Royal Rumble winner facing off against uh the the World Heavyweight Champion in night one. And I just feel like that this has to be how Cody does it. And in my personal opinion, I think he's coming in the Rumble at number one. He's going to be that back-to-back winner who won it at number 30 last year and won it at number one this year. That show that true fire that he has to finish his story. And I just don't see the Elimination Chamber being just I don't see it working to that advantage if they especially because I know people don't take the brand split seriously, but I just feel like that's the him winning the Rumble is the only real way he can get to Roman being a Raw guy facing the SmackDown champion. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. So I'm just thinking you've been building this story for 2 years, having him lose the Rumble and winning it at Elimination Chamber just doesn't work for the story for me.
Also very valid. Again, this is one of those things that keeps it interesting, keeps it exciting. But we do have a split. Brian, break the tie. Which way you going?
Once again, Tarek and I were talking earlier this week. I told him one thing, and I'm going the other way because I thought about it, and there's one thing that Tarek said that I agree with. Okay. Winning a Royal Rumble in recent memory, I think ever in a brand split, okay, was the only way that you could switch brands because you get to choose which champion you want to face. Okay. And if that's the case, CM Punk winning wouldn't make any sense because he already said he's going after Seth Rollins if he wins. And it's like they're on the same brand. We know who Cody's going after if he wins, and his dude's on the other brand. So and I've got it. I watched something today. Credit goes to Jason Solomonster because I watched this idea of his play out while he was talking about it, and I'm like, that sounds really good. It comes down to Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. They've been building up this hatred between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Drew McIntyre eliminates CM Punk from this match. Cody Rhodes that means Drew McIntyre has insane amounts of heat. Cody Rhodes eliminates him, and everyone's happier than they would have been if he eliminated CM Punk because he eliminated the dude who eliminated CM Punk to win the thing. And then at Hell in a Cell, you have a built-in main storyline for the Elimination Chamber match.
Elimination Chamber, you mean, instead of Hell in the Cell?
Yeah. You know exactly what I meant. But yeah, you have a built-in main storyline for the Elimination Chamber match where CM Punk gets his win, and then you set up CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Okay, but yeah, I'm going Cody Rhodes basically because of what Tarek said. The only way that makes sense for him to get to Roman Reigns based off of previous intel is by him winning the Royal Rumble. I think you do have to do something like Tarek said. You have to give him more obstacles to face in the Royal Rumble. He can't come in at 30 this time. I agree with him on that. It needs to be more of the opposite effect. He needs to do a little more work in order for me to like him winning for 2 times in a row. But it makes the most sense to me. Cody Rhodes to win.
All right. And those are our picks for the Royal Rumble in an official capacity. But as we often do, for those who remember, every single year we also factor in our picked numbers from our annual WWE Royal Rumble game towards these totals. So that's going to be a special stipulation this year. And Brian, I know you still need to put in your entry to that. I'm pretty sure Charlie does as well. So if you want to join in the Scholars of Wrestling and get in on our yearly annual WWE Royal Rumble game, you can play right now. Link to in the description box below. You can put in your predictions, and whoever gets the highest score is going to win a gift card to the WWE shop. We're giving one away. And if you want to win, if you're listening to my voice, put your predictions in the link below and shoot your shot to get a gift card to the WWE shop. And for if you're a scholar of wrestling like us, hey, you're probably gonna need those points if you want your shot at the big gold belt, Big Goldie. You want to win it, you got to be in it. Brian, when are you gonna make your picks?
I will make them tomorrow.
I will say, if I win that quick gift card, I'm getting a Gunther t-shirt, like the greatest Intercontinental Champion t-shirt.
As well, you should. There's
And
lots of great things to get there.
I will say, he's now at 596 days as Intercontinental Champion. Tomorrow, he will tie with the Miz's eight reigns combined at 597.
And it's like not now Gunther is the most intriguing thing going into WrestleMania because who's he gonna face now that all this crap has come out? They can't really bring Brock Lesnar in now. That's a bad look.
Yeah, there's so This is, again, everything is so exciting now. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm sure that they'll absolutely have a plan. And speaking of plans, you know now about our plans for the Royal Rumble, who we think is going to walk away victorious, what's going to happen after that. But now is the point of the show where we want to turn it over to you, our fellow fans. Who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble? Have you entered into our Royal Rumble game prediction pools? If not, why not? Sign up today, but we will also want to hear from you wherever you are, all across the internet. Facebook posts, YouTube comments, wherever you are, we are, especially on the Twitter machines. Tarek, where can he reach you?
You can reach me probably predicting that it's going to be Sheamus getting his one-on-one match at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship at the Avataric.
Interesting choice.
It's the
Brian, where can I
title.
reach you?
It's the title that he wants, that he's never won, and he wants to win it before he retires. Then
That
he would
makes
have
too
won
much
literally,
sense.
he would have won literally everything in WWE. Like Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, all the titles.
Interesting indeed. Brian, where can I reach you?
You can reach me trying to figure out how Gunther's gonna be champion going into Germany in August at Atomic Beanpole.
And you can find me at I'm Robbie Rage, managing all of this chaos and managing all of the prediction games that I'm going to be participating in this weekend at I'm Robbie Rage. Join in the fun, join in the live tweeting, join in the chaos wherever you can find it. But most of all, enjoy pro wrestling and enjoy the Royal Rumble. Play the game, watch the show. You know we are, because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling. I'm bad at segues, and you have just been schooled. You're
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 welcome.
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 Go hang on to this belt and get ready for the Royal Rumble.